All right, people, welcome back to askNK, and today we'll be doing something a little bit different, or maybe something you already know about because of the title. And this is because I had a request and I had a couple of emails and I had a couple of, can you please do something like this, relating to a video which I did one time. I think it's called tips for Mocap. I'm going to put the links in the description and maybe somewhere around on the screen so that you can find that out. And what we're going to do today is how you can add blend shapes to your models when you are either applying mocaps to them, and also how you can attach mocaps to your models and also tweak the mocap just in case you want to, do something quite different from what the mocap has, or maybe you just want to refine it. So we're going to go ahead, and I have Autodesk Maya 2019 opened up. You can do that in 2017, 2018, but why I choose to use the 2019 is just because of the playback feature, which seems to be the only feature that made its way to Maya 2019. No shades intended, but here we go. So I have this model that I got from Mixamo, so you can go over to mixamo.com and then you can find a very nice model like this. So me importing this model, it's like this, and once you press 6 on your keyboard, then the texture comes in. The reason why is because it's film box, which is FBX, so automatically, it packs up all the whole media content that has to do with animation, and maybe if the textures and all that. Okay, so we have this FBX model there here, and for some reason I'm beginning to notice that this model has it has a bit of texture seam issues. Either ways, let's move on with what we have for this video. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to be able to, first of all, characterize this. For me to be able to apply another animation or maybe apply something to this or a mocap to this, I need to characterize this. And by default, you can learn how to do all of this characterization and maybe enjoy it a little bit more when you're working in Motion Builder. So you can check out Firat Tuzunkan's YouTube page where he talks about Motion Builder. You can learn everything about Motion Builder there. But here, we're just going to go right into it and get this thing over with. So for me to see the skeleton, first of all, I need to come here and click on this button, and then I can be able to see all of the joints or skeletons that the model has. So we see it's a basic HIK, which is human inverse kinematics skeleton. So it's a very basic one. So what we're going to do now is, if you don't have this, you can come through to, let's go over to rigging, skeletons, and then you can hit the human IK, and automatically the human IK is going to pop up. But I have it here, so I'm just going to simply just select this, and I'll come over and click on create character, create control rig, and do something like that. And no, I need to first of all come through and delete this. So let's delete this because we don't need that. Okay, so I'm going to create character definition. Sorry, that's what I was supposed to do. Create character definition. So I'm deleting this first one, and I have this model here. So normally what you need to do is, you come through, you double click, you click the first one, you see, you come through, you double click, you click the second one. But there is also an easier way to do it. So once you select this and select the HIK template and say okay, automatically it's going to find a way to fix it. But now you notice we have this node, which is the reference node, and there is nothing to control it. And think of this reference node like your root node. Definitely we have the heap, which should serve, but we already have a heap node here. So what we're going to do now is we'll go over to create, go all the way down to locator, and I'm going to just press R on my keyboard so I can scale this a little bit more. And then I will pick this up and just use the middle mouse, drop this right inside here. And now I have this locator. So the locator is going to serve as the, what's it called? It's going to serve as the root node. Okay, so let's have this there, and now we have that. So as simple as it is, don't bother about these yellow lines. Okay, so as simple as it is, we can come through and now say create control rig, and automatically is going to create a control rig for us. So now, because we're using a full body control rig, you can see that here, and you can also use a part control rig. Okay, this is partial, this is full, and this is just for the particular or the specific part of the object you're using. So I'm just going to use the full one, and if I have the full one turned on, and I have this, I can now have all of this HIK movement here. Okay, now if you want to just do like a very simple forward kinematics, then you can just simply pick this one and then you can use it. But for the full body kinematics, you can use something like that. Okay, so now we have this stuff. What we want to do is import the FBX file or the motion file which we want to use. For us to get that working, I need to come over to Windows because I want to use something that exists already. So if you have something that is somewhere on your hard drive, you can use that, but I want to use something that exists directly in Maya. So I'm going to just simply bring out the content browser, go over to the motion capture, and let's pick one. I think let's pick the first one. Or maybe we can pick the second one. Either ways, let's just pick anyone. All right. So I have this model imported now, and this is the FBX from the content browser. So what I can do now is, instead of model to read from the control node or from the control rig node, we're going to change the source to look around, which is the name of this file. And automatically our model will snap into position to where the motion file that we are referencing is. So now let's just look around and see. Okay, fine. So we have this, and now you can see our node is existing here. We can pick this node, you know, to move this up and down, just to move this to see what we're dealing with. So with this done, next thing I'm going to do is just simply let's turn this on so that we can have the playback feature. Okay, and then we can just press play. Now you can see our model is looking left and right, mimicking the exact motion that the model has, or that the reference animation has. So what we want to do now is we want to bake this animation, which is called look around, into our own model, because if we bring this model here and take it away from where it is and just keep it a control node or the control rig node and press play, you see we don't have anything happening. Okay, we just have the reference animation playing back. Meanwhile, our model is just in T-pose. So what we want to do is we want to transfer this data or retarget this data to our model. So I'm just going to simply come through and just select the look around one more time. And with this done, I would like to bake the entire thing, bake to this. So just think about it like you're cooking this stuff into this. Okay, so let's just simply come through, click on this big node here. Okay, this big button, very big one. Okay, and I'm going to plot this or simply bake this to the control rig. Okay, so it will take a while because the whole frame is going to just keep analyzing, and it will transfer all of that data, retarget the data to our model. So now we have this data retargeted to our model. We can see the entire keyframe, and what we can do now, just to clean up our scene, because we no longer need this reference node, is we can just simply come through, select this, and hit the big delete button on our keyboard, and then that's it, and it's gone. Okay, so you can see we have our control rig here, and we have this turning back and forth. Okay, so now we have one thing out of the way. The next is how can you add blend shapes to your object. So the thing is, blend shapes is something that in most models comes with blend shape, and most of the time you might be quite lucky to download the model that has blend shape with them. And if you don't have a blend shape, you can easily do those blend shape thing here. And one cool way of doing blend shape is either you use the soft selection, or you can go ahead and use the sculpting tools that exist in Maya. Okay, that is if you're working in Maya. So how we can do this is I can just get this model selected, then I'm going to go over to Windows, go down to not modeling, animation, yes, and then down here to where we have the shape editor. So once I click on the shape editor, you're going to see this, and I'm going to first of all click on create blend shape, which is the create blend shape. You can choose to add a name if you want to. You can right click and rename it if you want to. Then the first thing I'm going to do is add the first target. So adding the target is the type of blend shape, like how much blend shapes you want to make. Okay, so if I want to make a smile blend shape, I add a target, make a smile. If I want to make a blink, I can add a blend shape. If I want to add fear, maybe squeaky in the eye, something like that. You just keep adding target, and also try your best to rename them because it comes in quite handy. And for a model like this that we're working on, you notice symmetry is turned off. So what that simply tells us is if we start, let's say, if we start modeling, or if we start making changes, check this out. If I start making changes to this, you see the symmetry is just on one side. So for you to be able to add or maybe attach symmetry to something like this in a different point, or that exists somewhere different, what you can do is you can come through, you can go over to symmetry, but instead of selecting either object or world, simply select topology and double click, or you just simply click and automatically Maya would understand where the symmetry is. So let's just go back now and select the vertex. And once I select one part of our model, say a part like this, you can notice that the other part is selected as well. If I press B on our keyboard, let's say I press down B and use the, what's it called, the middle mouse button to like click, drag in and drag out, you can also notice that it's happening on the other side. So what we want to do now is we want to just simply grab that portion and maybe tilt her face a little bit down. It's her lips a bit down, sorry. Let's just get a big chunk. Let's bring this down a little bit. Okay, so we want to bring this a little bit down. She said daddy didn't come back home today. I don't know. So let's just get that there, and let's do something like that again, somewhere like here as well. Okay, so now we have one very sad auntie. So auntie is very sad. Okay, so you can come through, rename these and call this sad. I don't know. And whenever you're done with creating a blend shape, you can turn off the edit. Okay, you can turn off the edit and, you know, slide this back and forth. So once the edit is on, it simply means that you can go ahead and make more changes. So I'm just going to slide that back, select this, add a new one, and let's say I want to work on something else, but this time let's try a different technique. So for this technique, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the sculpting tool, and for this sculpting tool I wouldn't like to use this one, so I'm just going to come through and turn this off. It's always advisable to turn this off when you turn on the sculpting. In 2019, turn this off, else it might end up ruining your entire stuff. So just turn that off. Then I can also right click and use the grab, because I want to just drag some parts of the face, and I can increase this. So if you press M on your keyboard and click with the middle mouse button and drag left or right, you can increase or decrease the intensity of the sculpting brush. If you press B on your keyboard and also click and drag left and right or up and down, you can increase and reduce the size of your brush, just in case. Okay, so I'm just going to press B to resize the brush, and okay, and I think we have that. So let's just collapse her cheeks a bit. So I'm just going to come through, and you can notice that the symmetry is still holding on. So I can come through and just, you know, flap those, just make her tuck it in a bit. Okay, and let's make her tuck her lips in a bit, and let's give her that mean face a tiny bit, a little bit of that eye coming down. Okay, and let's tuck in the nose. I think when something like this is happening, I don't know, but I think when something like this is happening, this part is always a bit full because of a lot of air intake out of aggression. Okay, and something like this. All right, let's also see what we can do with that part. Let's bring this part down a bit more. Let's bring this part down, and let's also bring this part just a little bit lower. Okay, so we have this blend shapes. Sorry, let's jump back. Perspective. Okay, so we have this two blend shapes. So now you can choose to apply these two blend shape anytime you are animating your object. Okay, so you have two blend shapes, and anytime you're animating your object, you can choose to key these blend shapes at any time. So if you want to key one, so let's say when she turns like this at 90, we just want to add a key to this, so it's nothing is happening. And at 100, we want to give her that daddy is not home kind of feel. And now you can see she's going from I'm not fine to daddy is not home, and she keeps that face that way. Okay, so maybe at 130 you want to get this out of the way, and let's say at 140 we want to get this all the way back to what it was before. Okay, so you can do that. So this is how you can go ahead and keyframe your stuff for this one. All right, so for the next question, which is something I think by now, if you've seen the other videos that I talked about motion capture or how to tips for mocaps in Maya, you might have also figured out what I'm going to do next. But if you've not, just stick around because I'm going to show you how to fix that. So for this one, we have this head that seems not to be in the right place, like how we want it to be. Okay, so what we can do for this is we can go over to the channel box. All right, we go over to the channel box, and within this section you're going to see on the lower section of your channel box, you're going to see these two. One is called display, the other is called animate. And instead of clicking on this button here that creates a new layer, you can click on this button that attaches whatever that you've selected into the new layer. You can look at it down here. It says, you just look at it down here, it says create layer from selected, and this will just simply create an empty layer. So I'm just going to click on this one, and I can call this the head. All right, let's rename that. Let's see, can we? I think we can double click to rename. Don't leave a space. I think I left a space earlier. Head. Okay, now something is wrong. Right click, or just simply double click the head. Okay, so I have this called the head. So once you have something like this, the next thing which we're going to do, the head is fine, or you want to maybe make a change to how the entire head posture is, you can come through and you find out that your timeline is totally clean now. You can come through and let's say go over to where you want this to happen. So I can say from 70 I want the framing to start, so I'm putting a key there, and at say 90 I want to just simply tilt this a little bit upwards. And just as a good reminder, using the component mode seems not to be like the best way of working with with rotation when animating. I'll advise you to use the gimbal when working, because if you use the rotate or the component mode, I want you to take a look at the X, Y, and Z. Okay, so if I push this, you see all of those numbers are changing. All of those numbers are changing. But if you switch over to gimbal, only one number changes, so it's easier for you to go ahead and track your animations or your keyframes. It's going to be quite easier for you to track it and solve them. Okay, so you can see that as well. It's going to be quite easier for you to go ahead and track them. So let's just go back. So at 70, the entire animation is running now. So at 70, I'm just going to come through and put a key, and at 90, because I have gimbal turned on, you see only one is changing, and I can go ahead and put another key. Okay, now we can have that head being like this all through the entire animation. So at this point, when her head tucks all the way up, you can either choose to use the weight. Okay, so you can choose to use this weight, which you can animate from say 190. So we can animate this weight from 190. So I'm just going to put the key there, and at 200 I'm dragging all this down, and I'm also adding another key. So what's going to happen now is the layer is what I'm keying. So you use this to key the layer, and you can also key independently, and it's a good thing that you see all of those keys appearing here on your timeline. So this is something that this is questions that was asked, and I think I've made justice to them. And one more question, yes, I think it's also cool. I just solved that now. One more question that was asked earlier was, how do you fix the entire space and it just looks clean? So how I do that by default is just something very simple that everyone can do. So there's no trickery to that. So how you can do that by default is basically my scenes are always like this. Okay, so this is my basic scene. I always hate looking at that stuff on the base. So my scenes are always like this, I mean, for those guys that asked, and so just in case. And I turn these two on. Depending on how much computer power you're running, I turn these two on. Okay, so I turn something like this on. So I have the shadows turned on. I have the ambient turned on, the on-screen ambient, and I also have the anti-aliasing turned on. And also I do as well add something like this. So I add an ambient light by default, and then I add a directional light. You might not see them unless you press 7 on your keyboard, and then yes, you can see them. So with the directional light, and if you have all of these things turned on, you can be able to control where the shadows are. Okay, so for the guys that were asking how I end up getting my scene to look the way it looks, this is how you can get yours to look that way. So you can just simply play with your scene like this and see what it looks like, and it might help you get a good visual representation of what you're working with, especially if you have something to show, maybe show off instead of going ahead to render them. And for this model, I'm just going to subdivide this just to smooth the entire sides, something like that. Okay, and yeah, so if you have any questions about this stuff that we've just done, or maybe there are things that you would like to try, this seems to have spanned up to maybe 20 minutes. I'm sorry, but I think I did justice to all of the questions that was asked. So if you have questions about this stuff, if you want to see more things like this, if you like this video, just simply give it a like. I want to hear everything you think about this stuff in the comment section. And until I see you guys next time with a tutorial, rant, an update, a reaction, a review, peace.